After waiting a decent amount of time for The Boys Season 4, I was disappointed. I'll stop short of saying that the season was bad, but I wouldn't disagree if someone said that to me. After the amazing third season and solid quality of Gen V, I had high expectations for Season 4. It had a solid start, but that quality was not maintained throughout the season or even the first episode. From the halfway point of Episode 1 to the end of Episode 6 was easily some of the least entertaining episodes of the entire series. This season is filled to the brim with the most nothing shock value scenes of the series. I know that a large portion of the appeal of this show is its maturity, but when it's just shocking to be shocking, it's corny. Most of these scenes do nothing for the story and just serve to set up some lame joke. More importantly, the structure of the season is rather lacking. From episode 2 to episode 6, the show has extremely boring plot points. Before I say any more than this is your spoiler warning for season 4 of The Boys and also the previous seasons. These extremely boring plot points include Frenchie's and Kimiko's relationship to include Colin, Frenchie's moral dilemma with assisting with and committing several crimes, the hospitalization of Huey's dad, and Starlight's various moral dilemmas. The great plot points include A-Train's betrayal of the Seven, Homelander and Butcher's influence over Ryan, Butcher's plan with Kessler, and Homelander's internal struggle. Things like Kimiko's revenge on the Shining Light Liberation Army were inoffensive, but certainly not what I'd prefer to see. My issue with the structure of this season is that these boring plot points felt like they got a lot more screen time than they needed. An entire episode in an 8-episode season is a lot of time commitment. Keep in mind that we are seeing these things while being shown corny sexual scenes throughout the season. All at the same time, a more interesting plot point is taking place. In this season, the B plots were consistently more interesting than the A plots. It made most of the episodes feel like a drag. I thought that the issue was that there wasn't a lot of action, but then I remembered in season 3, there was just as much talking and character development. It felt like all the progression of season 4 happened in the last 2 to 3 episodes. With all of that negativity, I will say all of the actors performed their roles pretty well. I don't think there was a poor performance from anyone on set. But now back to the negativity. A small aspect of the season that annoyed me was the fact that the Gen V characters were hardly in the season. The impression I got from the trailer was that they would play a massive role or a massive part of this season. I'll admit it isn't the biggest deal, but to have constant references to Gen V throughout the season as teasers, but then to hardly incorporate them into the season was kind of annoying. I also have major issues with how they portray Homelander in season 4. They portray him as an idiot who can't handle the most simple of questions and is constantly made to feel dumb by every character present in the show. Keep in mind that in season 1, Homelander was the only one that noticed that Translucent was gone longer than usual and the only one to investigate in an effective way. He figured out where Becca was because Vogelbaum and Stillwell had slightly different stories on how Becca died and was patient enough to retrieve the truth in its entirety.
You and Vogelbaum should have got your stories straight. They were so close. So fucking close, but there was a few little details that were different. So I went back to Vogelbaum and I managed to squeeze the truth out of him. The real truth.
He is also quick-witted in seasons 1 and 2. He flipped the Flight 37 stuff to be a win for Vought, and his plan also got Supes into national defense in a limited capacity. Homelander was very smart and observant at the start of the show, which made it more significant when he's made to look like a fool, like in some of his scenes with Stan Edgar.
While you're preening at the Golden Globes, we are busy running around like maniacs.
In season 4, he is impatient, stupid, and extremely sensitive. When anyone asks him a question, he shuts down, even if it was an extremely simple question. When investigating the leak with Sage, he doesn't even let the person he's investigating finish her sentence before he kills her. But in season 1, when Butcher has Stillwell held hostage, he takes the time to get the truth from her. Throughout season 4, he is made to look like a fool multiple times, but these scenes don't have as much weight because he's an idiot for most of the season. In the latter half of the season, Huey goes through a lot of traumatic stuff. His mother returns after abandoning him, his father dies, and he is put in an extremely sexual situation against his will. And to make it worse, it was with someone that he looked up to in his youth. I understand that the show touches on very sensitive subjects like SA with Starlight and the Deep, abusive relationships with Maeve and Homelander, racism with Blue Hawk and A-Train, and human trafficking with Kimiko and her brother. These are very real, very sensitive problems that were treated with respect in the show. They weren't made to be the butt of a joke. But for Huey's situation, it felt as though the entire intent for creating these scenes was to be comic relief and to be shocking. Why not treat these scenes the same way you treated other serious issues addressed in the show? Adding to my list of grievances with this season is how Starlight treats Huey after the shapeshifter situation is concluded. It doesn't really make sense. It doesn't make sense to be upset with Huey. There was almost no way he could have known that it was a shapeshifter instead of Starlight. The shapeshifter had Starlight's physical appearance and memories. Even still, I was willing to overlook this, but the writers don't even commit to it, and Starlight forgives Huey minutes after being upset with him, even though Huey himself is a victim. My final issue with this season is the overuse of gore. It kind of ruins scenes, not because I'm squeamish or anything like that, it is simply because it doesn't look good. In moderate amounts, it can be okay, but in the amounts present in this season, it doesn't look good and often takes away from the impact it's supposed to have. While I've spent the last couple of minutes complaining about this season, I still enjoyed it. It was just very disappointing, especially coming off of the end of season 3. This is by far the worst season of The Boys we've seen, to include Project V. I hope season 5 is good, but now I need Invincible season 3 to come out so I can complain about that.